Hi, I'm Matt. Welcome to this introduction to video game RPGs. So what is an RPG? Well, RPG stands for role-playing game. So in other games we might control an object or move a character around in an environment, but we don't necessarily take on the role and inhabit a character like we do in an RPG. To illustrate this more clearly, let's go back and look at the origins of RPGs. While there are older examples of games which involve role-playing, the modern role-playing game arrived with the first tabletop RPG, Dungeons & Dragons, in 1974. In tabletop RPGs, players take on the roles of characters in an adventure led by one player known as the Dungeon Master or the DM, and in the words of the D&D rulebook, the players tell a story together. Rather than make-believe, let's make up a story as we go play, tabletop RPGs rely on planning and rule-based structure, and dice. These tabletop games offered players a persistent system of character progression. Players could build their own characters that could progress as the story unfolded, improving ability levels and collecting items that they could take with them into their next adventure. In fact, many commonly used gaming terms like XP or leveling up have their origins here. Games such as D&D and its competitors offered rich worlds populated with exotic creatures and settings. While D&D's success means that its Tolkien-esque fantasy setting comes to mind for most people, there are plenty of other RPGs with different settings, such as in sci-fi or horror, as well as tie-ins to franchises from other media. However, keeping track of gameplay mechanics with pencil and paper was a lot of work that many potential players just weren't up for, which is perhaps where the image of tabletop RPG players as nerds or geeks comes from. This led to simplified variations of RPGs, from board games to books to card games, and the first RPG video games arrived in the late 70s and early 80s. It made perfect sense, as the computer could effectively take over the role of the DM, doing all of the maths, keeping track of all of the non-play elements, and leaving the players free to just play. From mainframes to home computers, arcade machines to multiple generations of consoles, technological development has kept the genre moving in exciting and creative ways. We've seen early text-based offerings, to the most basic of graphics, first-person treks through crude dungeons, top-down views, the beginnings of 3D worlds, and to the dazzling worlds of today's RPGs. While early RPG video games followed the lead of the tabletops and offered turn-based action, technology has enabled a shift towards real-time, skill-based action gameplay. This change has created new possibilities for the RPG genre, with action-based RPGs and RPG shooters giving the genre some enormously successful games. While we still see plenty of games with standalone single-player stories, the success of massively multiplayer online RPGs, or MMORPGs, such as World of Warcraft, has seen many successful and long-running RPG franchises make the jump to massively multiplayer, reviving the social aspect of the original tabletop games. Whether playing in guilds with friends or encountering unknown players, these vast MMORPG worlds offer players new possibilities to play the game their own way. Will you focus on achieving in-game goals or on exploring, or focus on the social aspect of play? Character creation options give players new ways to present themselves in-game, with interesting implications for identity. Choices of gender, body types and clothing, and the way we interact in-game, along with chat options and gamer tags, all mean that the way we present ourselves in these worlds can be as close to or as far away from your IRL persona as you like. As gaming and other elements of geek culture have entered the mainstream, it's not hard to see the influence of RPGs. RPG gameplay mechanics have made their way smoothly into other game genres. RPG making software allows fans to make their own simple games following the basic gameplay structure. There are even habit tracking apps that reward users with XP for meeting goals, as if they were a character in an RPG. Pop culture seems to have moved on from representing RPG gamers as the butt of jokes too. I hope you've enjoyed this introduction to RPG video games, and maybe I've even helped you find something new to play. Thanks.